What's up, guys? We're gonna do an off-season blueprint for the Timberwolves after they got eliminated in the Western Conference Finals against the Dallas Mavericks. So, guys, what should the Timberwolves do?
Mhm. Well, I mean, this is probably the most successful season you could argue in franchise history.
No, I think it was when they won the playing game, two seasons ago.
That's true.
That's true. That was huge. That was huge. Patrick
that was-
Beverly looked like an MVP.
I'll get silence, bro.
Oh well, clearly.
Yeah.
I mean, it was one win.
I know. Well, okay, so here's the thing. There is nothing wrong with just running back this core altogether,
For sure.
just for another year. I mean,
They did make the conference finals.
they got outclassed against the Mavs, but if you make some tweaks, I think you could totally justify that. There is the whole, salary cap issue, and they are way over, and they are, paying a lot of luxury tax. They're over the second apron because they're paying Ant a max, Cat almost $50 million, and they're going to be paying him $60 million at some point. Gobert's getting a ton of money. Jaden McDaniel's getting a ton of money. Nas Reed's going to need some money soon. So I think there is an argument you can make to trade one of those guys. Obviously not.
No, I agree. I mean, we've seen Towns consistently not be great in the playoffs. Great
He
player.
was off and on this.
He was off and on this year. That's true. There was definitely better sites this year than there had been previously, but I'm sure his value is pretty high. Maybe, I don't know actually. You could always potentially try to shop him a little bit, maybe see what you can get in return for him.
All right, let's test the waters. Do we have a cat trade out there? One of you guys? If not, I have one.
I have one.
Let's hear it, Deacon.
And you guys probably won't like this because I know you're not Trae Young fans.
Oh boy, this is
okay. So
calmly.
Also, well, just for the record, to the Floater game friend of the pod, I am not a Trae Young hater. That is Marvin.
Continue. I classify as one.
Yeah, he is big time, but
I'm a certified Trae Young hater,
which makes zero sense because he loves the University of Oklahoma.
That's true. We came to that realization just the other week. Makes no sense.
Trae Young hate come when he was drafted to Atlanta.
I never really could watch college basketball, so that the fact that he went to Oklahoma is kind of irrelevant in that sense.
But ironically, when he played college basketball, was one of the few times I watched like regular season college basketball games. Anyway, continue the trade.
All right, so and this is kind of it. Also, just doesn't make sense to a degree in terms of getting under the tax apron because like Trae Young's still making a ton of money, but this is just like to get better in general, because you should always look to get better. So. Shoot, I don't have the exact trade pulled up. Let me do that. All right, you ready?
Yep.
Hold on, let me get my seatbelt
on. Okay, so the Hawks are going to get Karl Towns, the 27th pick from Minnesota. And then the Timberwolves get Trae Young. Pretty straightforward trade. Like Marvin said, I really don't know what Cat's trade value is. I really don't know what Trae's trade value is.
Yeah, they're both kind of iffy trade values.
Yeah,
I think Trace is probably higher.
Probably, I would imagine. But
they are giving the 20.
Here's the argument. So for the Hawks, really it doesn't make a ton of sense. But we're going to move on.
Really, that's the part where it doesn't make sense. Okay.
For the Hawks, it kind of does, but if they're drafting Sar, it also.
True, fair.
Okay, fair.
It doesn't make sense, but we've seen
I don't think it's the worst thing though.
We've seen Cat play power forward and it worked, but either way. I don't love it for the Hawks, but let me spell it out for the Timberwolves. So they get a legit scoring option on the perimeter, which they really needed at times. Even Ant wasn't great in those conference finals. He was pretty good game 4. He was pretty good. But, I wouldn't say he's necessarily consistent with the shot, but he consistently scores a lot, which is just, something, a new dynamic that it brings.
Something that Trae Young does too.
Another dynamic is it makes Rudy Gobert useful. He's pretty much a negative on offense, but also there's not a ton of guys that can run the pick and roll in the league better than Trae Young. And if you want to make Gobert useful on offense so that his defense, like if you're like, oh, he's so good on defense, we're just gonna, take our lumps on offense. That can't really be acceptable in those conference finals and later rounds. So you make Trae Young and Gobert you make them useful with the pairing. Gobert can catch lobs if he can catch them. Yes. But in general, Gobert's going to be more effective on offense, in theory. Just because Trae Young's always good in the pick. He's one of the best. And then the defense from Trae Young, it may seem bad, but the Timberwolves have awesome defenders all around. You push Mike Conley to the bench, they consistently lacked great backup point guard play. And now you got an all-star starter as your backup point guard. If you know, you know. And then it probably pushes Naz Reid into the starting lineup. And he was great starting.
Naz Reid get pushed into the starting lineup with that.
Because Cat's gone.
Yeah, but Trae
Cat's
goes.
gone.
Yeah, you trade Conley.
on the out.
Yeah, you put Naz Reid. And then so the spacing is instantly better. I mean, I know Cat's a great shooting big, but
Naz Reid is better.
Well, Cat showed he sucked in the conference final.
Well,
I mean,
even
that
throughout the playoffs, he had those spurts.
He
where he'd
shot
go
4
1
for 32 total threes.
yeah, but
That's not
just
a great
with Trae's dynamic playmaking, the spacing is going to be better.
At that point, you might as well have Gobert shoot threes, honestly.
I mean, he did it in the Olympics that once. So maybe, or that was the World Cup, I guess. So that's pretty much my pitch. What do y'all think?
Marvin, you are here, a Trae Young hater. What do you say about this trade?
I'm not in love with this trade at all.
Why?
You like the Wolves after the Trae Young trade more?
No, I think I like the Hawks more after this than I like the Wolves. Actually, I think the Hawks will benefit more from this trade than the Wolves will.
Okay, so put away the hate for Trae Young. All right, put it aside.
Yeah, I'm not.
Look at this trade realistically. This brings up their scoring a lot, which they needed big time in the playoffs because Karl-Anthony Towns did not
here's
bring
the
that at
problem,
all.
Right? So you already have Ant being timid right now, being the one guy. With this, you're gonna
Did you say
have two
timid?
very ball dominant players that want to score the ball.
Okay, but so are Kyrie and Luka. We know it can work. It
Yeah,
just
but
needs the right
Kyrie and
coaching.
Luka are very different players.
Yeah.
I disagree.
Trae Young and Anthony Edwards.
Ant was very passive because he realized he couldn't score. He said it himself. He was like, "Yeah, I just let Cat do his thing because I was not able to hit a shot."
I mean, and Gobert being
Gobert sucks,
absolutely
too.
useless on offense really clogged up that just the offense in general and clogged up Ant's lanes because Derek Lively would just be like, I don't care. I'm just going to block all your shots. So I'm just going to stand in front of you at the basket all the time. And then and a lot of Ant's points come at the basket, obviously.
Yeah.
And Trae Young, obviously he could make Gobert better and he doesn't really let rim protection bother him too much just because with the floater and whatnot.
And I think you forget Trae Young is a top 5 assist guy. He passes the
Yeah.
ball plenty.
The top 2, really.
Yeah.
True, but still, I mean, he's also, I'm pretty sure, I mean, I don't know this, but I'm pretty sure he's up there with points/shots attempted too.
I mean, yeah, for sure. But that is, kind of might be what the Wolves need in a sense. They just need a guy that's willing to take
kind of whatever role
Yeah.
on offense.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
yeah.
Trae Young can't be the alpha anymore. This would require sacrifice from Trae Young. I don't know if he's capable of that. But assuming he is, I think this could work really well. By the way, shout out Kevin O'Connor. That's where I got the trailer. I'm not original. So,
Kevin, friend of the pod.
absolutely.
All right. Well, I definitely. So, I mean, I think as Marvin was hinting at, you said Trae Young will be another scoring option. Marvin said another guy that can kind of do whatever role you want him to on offense. I disagree with both those takes because he's not another scoring option. He's another guy that is a scorer. That is what he is. He will not be an option. He will not take a back seat. We've seen historically front, especially this season, just last season, right? In Cleveland, in right where Trae Young is coming from, we've seen issues with those two guard plays. Then obviously you do have Dallas. I'm not here to say that that would be different or the same compared to Dallas in Minnesota with Trae Young. I don't know honestly, but certainly Luka and Kyrie have. I mean, Luka is Luka. He's another planet, and Kyrie, we've seen him take that role before. Um, just to kind of put that out there. And then, yeah, certainly you lose your defense. I love starting Naz Reid. I think that's definitely the right direction you want to go. And I do think it'd be great to have a scorer. It's just the risk of, well, for one, you're not freeing up any cap space at all. So you're still moving forward that exact same problem. Um, and while also losing a first round pick. And then, yeah, exactly. So you get weaker on defense a little bit. I don't think it's horrible. Rudy Gobert maybe a little bit better in the pick and roll, but now you have two guys, ball dominant. And like you said, he was scoring a lot and most of the time, not always efficient. Trae Young doesn't necessarily help that. So I have a lot of concerns about this. If I was the Timberwolves and I was offered this trade, I would probably take it just because I have such little faith in Cat and they have Naz Reid. Might as well try Trae Young. I mean, it's certain to be some form of a similar type of elite team as what they are already, right? There's certainly going to be somewhere, hopefully, competing in the West. I'm really curious also how Trae Young and Ant would mesh as personalities too, especially both being so ball dominant. A lot of question marks, but I would probably end up taking.
And just so that we could talk about it from Atlanta's perspective, just for a second, just because you said you like it.
Yeah.
I mean, so theoretically, you still have the number one pick, so you could pair Alex Starr, or there's rumors that they may even take Reese Shea.
Well, I mean, even at that point too, right? If let's say, right, you're taking Reese Shea, but you have talent, so you're like, oh, we don't really need a big. You could even potentially trade that big back too for stuff.
That's also true. I mean, I think that opens up a lot of opportunities, and then it like, oh, so I mean, say they take Reese Shea number one. All of a sudden, you have a lineup of DeJounte Murray. I mean, you may start Reese Shea at the two, maybe you start Bogey. I don't know. Oh, so let's say DeJounte, Reese Shea, DeAndre Hunter, Jalen Johnson, Karl-Anthony Towns.
Yeah.
I mean, also,
and then you got the Capella contract to trade.
sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. Also, just because I think the best move if you did this trade from Atlanta's perspective is afterwards, like definitely trade Clint Capella or Kongwu or both, because then you can start right Towns and Sarr, and you also have whatever value out of those guys, but you don't really worry about having four big guys on your team.
Yeah,
they're all starter worthy somewhere. Another here to feel around the cap value. I have a trade. This is going to be a three-way deal. Trying to see. Okay, so I'll start with the Timberwolves. Timberwolves would trade Karl-Anthony Towns, and that is all. They would, in return, get Anthony Black, Jet Howard, a 2026 first-round pick, or two 2026 first-round picks, sorry. So two first-round picks for the same year and two first-round pick players from this last season. That I'll get to the justifying it in a second. That's what Timberwolves. That's Timberwolves. That's just the value of Cat. Do we value him that way? I don't know. Cavs. They would receive Karl-Anthony Towns. They would receive the Magic's first round pick this year. That's the number 18 pick. They would receive a first round pick from the Magic next season, and also a 2028 first round pick. So three first round picks and Karl-Anthony Towns obtained by the Cavs because they are trading Darius Garland and Jared Allen directly over to the Magic, and that's all the Magic are receiving. So this would be a gigantic blockbuster trade. I'm gonna try to justify it real quick, but before I do that, any questions about the pieces again?
I think I got it.
Okay. Well, anyway, you hear them again as I justify. So for Magic, what do they need? A point guard, a playmaker, and a shooter. Darius Garland brings all three of those guys. He's got 4 years on his contract. He's young, fits into the rest of the young core. Jared Allen is young as well. He brings a rebounding and size and shot blocking aspect to the Magic they've also lacked. These guys could potentially kind of fill all their direct holes into this upcoming next season or two, potentially. Cavaliers, you get Karl-Anthony Towns with Mobley, you get another big. They want to keep Donovan Mitchell. I would not doubt that's what they want to do. Mitchell, I think, has a lot of value around the league in theory if they want to use him as a guy. You support him with Mobley and Towns. Spacing is no longer a problem. And it's low-key almost a potentially a similar situation to the Timberwolves, but instead of such an elite defense, I think there's a little bit of a drop-off on defense, but you get a more elite offense than the Timberwolves do. Theoretically, maybe. And you also get 3 first-round picks, so the Cavs finally get to replenish some draft picks, and 2 of them are very soon. So that's also great. And then the Timberwolves, what do you get here? You get cap space, right? That's a big, or you get, gigantically over the tax. And along with that, you even get 2 first-round picks, and you get a Jet Howard who may or may not develop into a 6'8" shooter, which they could use some shooting potentially. And Anthony Black, who's shown a potential sizable role, at least as point guard, maybe the successor to Mike Conley, but could maybe at least run that backup option right now. Good defender, can do a little bit of everything. That's maybe the appeal here.
I think the value lines up everywhere.
That's
I
good.
just don't think the Timberwolves are going to make a trade where they get worse,
On paper.
'cause I like the idea of on paper. But I like the idea of shedding the tax or shedding salary, all that. But I mean, I think if you could parlay Black and Jet into like another piece, like another less expensive piece, I would like that more.
And potentially, I feel like more forward kind of for the bench.
Jonathan Isaac.
That could be nice, actually.
I mean, yeah, but that's like kind of already what they have,
Wendell Carter Jr.
I don't think they would want another big.
I don't know if Wendell's fit.
I mean, I agree with your point. Again, on paper they do get worse, but I think just the fact that you like, I don't know. I guess I'm just a cat hater, but I think the Timberwolves would be better if Nas was a starter. And I know everyone loves Nas, so everyone can agree with me, hopefully. But like, I actually legitimately believe that, not just as like a Nas is the GOAT, but like I generally believe that as a team, they would be a better team with Nas. Like as like 5 starters against the next 5 starters from whatever team, I think they would play overall better basketball with Nas. And I mean, we saw this even like the Western Conference Finals, right? Nas goes out last 4 minutes of the game, like they're on fire for a little bit. And Nas is playing even against like Jokic, they're playing good defense, stuff like this. Nas goes out, and obviously they still won a lot of games, right? And Cat still is a phenomenal talent that's 7 foot tall. But sometimes you'd feel a little bit of a drop off. You'd feel, but okay, now the decisions and the hustle is not all the way there.
They would not be better. That is.
I mean, like they're going to miss a lot of production that Cat brings. Cat also brings a lot of like he brings 4 fouls a game where you're like, what in the heck were you doing there? Like he brings. There's a lot of like Cat moments where.
For sure, but I mean, obviously, if you trade,
but-
you can't always.
And then a lot of times, I mean, sometimes the Cat moments are outweighed by good Cat moments where he's knocking down 3 straight threes.
For sure, I mean, Reed can do that too.
I mean,
Nas has hit 5 straight threes, so I'll take my Nas any
He
day.
has a 7 for 8.
I'm not counting the straight threes as the metric, but whatever. I think in general you just need more scoring, production for Cat back. Like it doesn't have to be Trae Young. It could be like another scoring wing. I think would be good.
I think a wing would, especially losing Towns, right? Because I feel like they're already low-key not. Like this may sound weird because obviously you start Towns and Gobert, but then after that, like your only big left is Reed. So I don't think it would hurt for them to get a bigger wing, potential backup center kind of guy too.
I
if
mean,
they can.
I think like the best part, like the way they were able to beat Denver is because they were so big. Just because they have bodies to throw at Jokic all the time,
100%. I mean, speaking of, go ahead.
And they would lose some of that size. But like the Mavericks shown, they're not a big. They have 2 big guys, but they're not a big team.
Yeah, that's true.
And they were still out rebounding because they were more athletic, and I think they were just smarter at times, and that's another thing that
Well,
catch.
and the thing too, just with like we were mentioning Gobert earlier, not always the best at scoring, period, not always the best at catching balls. But even I feel like in general, him compared to like Lively and Gafford, he just looks a lot more out of control in
Right.
general too. And I feel like that obviously he's a great player. I mean, he knows how to get rebounds and stuff. But I feel like when you're playing more physical ball like that, it does make things harder for him. And we did see that in that conference finals as well. He wasn't getting as many rebounds. His offense was horrendous. I mean, 2 for 7 at the rim is just not what you're expecting a big man to do. So that definitely doesn't help either.
I
And-
mean,
Go ahead.
I mean, this is what I said this as the Nuggets were playing against the Wolves. We didn't know who would win. I said if the Nuggets win that series, I don't love the Mavericks odds to move to the finals. I said, but if the Timberwolves win the series, despite beating the reigning champs Nuggets, I said I like the Mavs' chances better, and that's all because of playoff matchups, and it's also because of how the Timberwolves roster and just in general, like how rosters work, how they're constructed. But the Timberwolves, like Deacon said, they're constructed beautifully to beat the Nuggets, and still barely did so by a hair. But all props to them, they did it. But they're constructed to do that, and the Mavericks may not particularly be constructed as well to do that against the Nuggets. We don't know. We didn't see it this year in the playoffs in a 7 game series. Um, but just to kind of take a different direction, to throw some other ideas out there that could even potentially work with the trade I just proposed, for that kind of size concern you pointed out, they would still have a 2024 first round draft pick. And there is guys like most of them probably wouldn't be around, but there's a good chance at least one of them is around between Kalel Ware, Deron Holmes, or even Filipowski, but unlikely. Or even if you want to just go crazy, Zach Edey. But if you have Gobert, you probably don't want to go that route. But you can still get another guy with size, and half those guys even have shooting and floor stretching ability. And if you can get them at your first round pick, that kind of it's unproven. It's a little bit new territory. It's a rookie. I get all that. But right, you're bringing him off the bench. I don't think this could be great talent to have coming off the bench and
I mean,
learning behind us.
I think rookie centers. I mean, a lot of times they really struggle. Like we saw James Wiseman out the gate. I mean, he's still.
I mean, even
He
Lively,
just didn't pan out.
Yeah.
That's different.
I mean, they. It takes the perfect situation for those rookie centers to really thrive. I mean, and obviously, like for Lively's case, he has arguably the best playmaker in the league. It's either Luka or Jokic, setting him up all the time and getting him easy dunks.
sure.
I mean, so I like the idea of bringing in like a Khalil Ware. He probably won't be around. I mean, I think he could go as high as like top 12, you know. But I think in general, I really like the idea of bringing in a center that's bouncy like Lively that just brings energy, and then you can play him a short spurt. I mean, it's different from what Gobert does. He's not like bouncy and lively, not actually Derek Lively, like lively in terms of like energetic. Um, and it's just gonna be a nice change of pace. I mean, because usually their change of pace on offense is just let's bring in another stretch big, and like sub out Gobert for Nas or whatever. And I think just bringing someone that provides similar things to Gobert, but just more intensity. Obviously not as like capable as Gobert, but I think that could be nice.
For sure. I mean, even I think this, if you're trading Cat, you're gonna be thinner on big man, like you just pointed out. So even with the Trey Young trade, right? You said he's a great pick and roller. No, I have no disagreements with that whatsoever. But like if we go back, he was awesome, right, with John Collins, right? Really bouncy kind of guy. We haven't seen that as much since, and he's still great at pick and roll. But if you get a younger guy, it's a little more bouncy. Even like just I think either way, looking into a big guy would be a great option for the Wolves. Any other thoughts on the Wolves? I mean, they're close. They're this close.
I mean,
We
yeah.
thought.
I mean, if they did nothing except bring their guys back, I wouldn't have.
Or even just replace some of the guys
Well, yeah, I
losing
mean,
in free agency.
I wouldn't bring all the same guys back. Obviously, try to improve a little
Yeah.
bit along there.
I mean, even though not like much of their free agents are actually were getting minutes either.
I think Kyle Anderson.
Kyle Anderson's like the only one
Yeah.
that's getting minutes.
But either way, if they
Which I
bring
think they
back
could get a-
basically the same roster, I would have no problem with it. Anthony Edwards is 22. You know, he's only going to get better. Obviously, those contracts are not going to age well, but if you win a championship next year, it's not even going to matter. So, might as well
True.
try.
Well, my light just turned out. Episode's over, boys. Thank you guys for hopping on today. Floater gang out.